Why I wrote the book, From Mountains to Molehills, Overcoming and Celebrating Your Differences in Marriage. Welcome to another session of Walking with Randy. Hope you are able to get your steps in and celebrating your differences in marriage. One reason is one major adjustment that every married couple will soon face after they are married. And we know that it seems like that opposites attract. We've often been told that, and it is true, because as we look at someone who has an opposite personality or an opposite spiritual gift than we do, we admire the strengths of that personality. And so the opposites attract. And before we are married, we often focus on those strengths. But then, after we've been married for a while, we began to realize with every strength, there is an accompanying weakness. We have not focused on the strengths before, but after marriage, when we discover those weaknesses, it doesn't take long till we might start focusing upon them. Well, this book will help us understand why we have different ways of thinking. And we discuss in it some simple things such as personality traits and personality differences, how birth order affects how we think and what our opinions are. And then the area of spiritual gifts for those of us that are Christians. Well, when we encounter differences in our marriages, we often want to advocate for our own positions. And that is when combat comes in. Also, as we encounter those differences in our marriage, we have a perception of them being so different. It's like trying to climb a mountain to overcome that situation. Well, so when we celebrate on the 4th of July, we often see glorious, beautiful fireworks. But sometimes we forget that those fireworks are born out of a full-blown war. Well, when we fail to deal properly with our differences in marriage, we can advocate for our positions so strongly that it comes to an area of combat. And in marriage, that can end up going into a full-blown war too. Well, I encourage us that are married to continue to study that complex creature that we married. And as we do that, we will discover not only the strengths we were attracted to at the beginning when we were dating, but we will continue to discover many, many more wonderful traits. We just need to do our best to understand each other as we are engaging in this wonderful thing called marriage. And we need to understand that in many cases, our different ideas and our differences are not in the category of one being better than the other. One is not better than the other. It is just different. And when we learn to handle that within our marriage and to do it that way, that helps us. Well, here is the book. If you would like to go look at it on Amazon.com. If you'd like more marriage tips like these, you could go to randysblogs.com. But to get the book, you could go to Amazon and search for Dr. Randy Carney, and it'll give you a list of my books there. Now, I wanted to close here by reading a couple of paragraphs that I wrote telling why I wrote this book. So when we allow each other to be who we truly are, and when we learn to limit our liberty and show deference to each other, we can come to the point of having a tolerable marriage. Then, as we perfect this process, we can laugh at our differences and we can cut each other some slack. We can pursue our own interests while allowing our spouses to do the same. You see, we don't want to lead completely separate lives, so we want to support our mates in their unique interest. We want to learn about those and spend some time sharing in those areas. Well, now we're getting into the how-to. You will see more of that in the pages of this book. So, when faced with our differences, we can become combative, or we can step back and find different ways to deal with those differences and the frustrations they may cause. We can support our partners in their unique interest and personality traits, realizing one is not necessarily better, but just different. When we do that, instead of engaging in combat, we can come to the point of tolerating and moving on to celebrating our differences. We will move from engaging in combat to watching glorious fireworks, and when that happens, we will have turned our mountains into molehills. Well, I'm glad you have joined me today for another session of Walking with Randy, and I hope you have a great day. Be sure and check out the blog and the book.